Let's talk about Nigeria Naira scarcity. So cash is really very scarce in Nigeria as the time I'm making this video, and I really want to attempt to give my opinion on Nigeria in terms of like cashless society. So is Nigeria ready to go cashless? And if you're wondering where am I, well, this is a video that is different from the type of video I usually make. So I'm just literally walking here because I brought my son to the sports center for swimming, and part of the sports center is just the ground here where there is the artificial pitch where people play football, and also there is the natural pitch as well, which is just all around here. So I'm just walking around, and so it's really a little bit bright. Well, it's not that bright, but it's really getting to like 6 o'clock in the evening, and yeah, so almost like see winter. And then you can see the floodlight that is just there for the pitch there where people are playing football. But my son inside the building, which is just all the way down that way, so where he's having his swimming lesson. Now let's talk about Nigeria in terms of this cash scarcity. I think something that a lot of people have to be aware of is that even though there is this issue of Naira scarcity, but actually this is almost like a disguise to have to take Nigeria towards a cashless society. I'm not really saying that the politicians that they are doing this deliberately. I mean, maybe they are not doing it deliberately, but whether they are doing it deliberately or not, at the end of the day, it's a wake-up call for a lot of people to start thinking about whether there are opportunities around that sort of like area in terms of like when you're talking about a cashless society, it tends to be a case whereby there will also be some business opportunity, maybe some apps or maybe financial technology in that area, so which a lot of those are already available, even though they are available, but it's still a case of and then also talking about infrastructure as well, so which a lot of infrastructure that enable a cashless society. I'm not sure whether everything is already in place in Nigeria. When we're talking about infrastructure for a cashless society, let's just break this down into a layman thing. So I'm a layman as well, breaking it down in a simple term for myself. I think it really has to do with electricity and internet. I think these are the two major things. Obviously there are a lot of other things like all these apps and software and a lot of things that go behind the scene that enable all this payment that we suddenly use our mobile phone to just swap and then make payment. Actually, can you hear the birds tweeting? There are a lot of birds tweeting around here. Birds, maybe they're going to sleep as well, and it's really bright because of this flood light. Is it flood light? This is one of them just right here, and then it goes there, so that's a light. Yeah, they have a number of them that just line up here. Yeah, so when we're talking about going back to infrastructure, it's definitely really has to do with electricity and internet. I think these are the two major ones. There are other things, again, don't get me wrong, I'm not really expert in this sort of like area, but I mean, at the end of the day, electricity and internet are the two major thing. And when we're talking about electricity, when you have all these equipment and whatever back-end thing that you need to use, and if there's no electricity to run them, a stable electricity, then it's a problem. So Nigeria has really been struggling with electricity. I can't even pronounce electricity for a long time, and this is the pitch down there. So if Nigeria has been struggling with a lot of electricity for a very long time, then it's really going to make it so challenging. And electricity is not only just for people, for infrastructure and equipment, but what about mobile phone? For example, say I want to use my phone to make payment, and then maybe my phone hasn't been charged because there is no electricity to charge my phone. Then even simple things like that, it can really be an issue. We're talking about, cashless society, and a lot of people, we have all sort of things to say about cashless society. So what is actually a cashless society? So this is something that maybe I'm supposed to have mentioned earlier on as well. It's just as simple as not carrying cash around. So for example, if I use myself as an example, I've spent money today, or maybe today's or let me just say the last week, the last 6-7 days, I've only spent used cash only once. So that's just that's the cashless. I mean, a cashless society doesn't mean that you are not using cash at all. It's just that you use it to really bare minimum, which a lot of people are still using cash. So, but it's getting to the point where really not people are depending less and less on cash. So if I haven't used, if I've only used cash once in the last 1 week, so then you can really see what I'm saying. Like, I can literally just use my card to swipe, or also the contactless, and the contactless is something that is really interesting as well. I don't know what it is like where you live. So, but here in the UK, I remember it started with like £20 maximum that you can spend on your card, and then suddenly they increase it to something like £50, and then now currently is £100 that the maximum you can spend using your card, the contactless. So which means that a lot of things that you want to buy, you can just buy them using your contactless. So that means that you don't really need to carry cash in your wallet, or so. And then you have your phone as well, which I think even with your phone, like the Google Pay or Apple Pay and a lot of other ones, I think you can even spend up to £1,000 or so with contactless. So which is, you might even get a time when I don't know whether there will be limitless, which maybe users will have they will have the whatever capacity to be able to set the limit themselves. So I think it's just that sort of like point where the world is getting to. So going back to Nigeria, it is a case of infrastructure that is just that need to be available. And something that is really important to mention as well, you can see here the birds tweeting. Something really to also take into consideration is the sort of like the human resources, the personnel, the software developer, the database, analysts, or all these, techie people that are supposed to be in place to run all these things, and Nigeria is also in a sort of situation whereby, there's this Jackpot culture. I actually did a video about Jackpot. Jackpot, it's kind of like a phenomenon, or sort of like like a slang in Nigeria, which means running away from trouble. So which means a lot of Nigerians are sort of like traveling abroad and moving away from Nigeria. So, and during this, because of this as well, so Nigeria has lost a lot of talent. I definitely have friends that I know who are who used to even work in financial services in Nigeria, who are really, really brilliant. I'm talking about, some of the, the best brain in my high school, and they're no longer in Nigeria. So, but having said that, Nigeria say constantly producing and producing and constantly producing, big brains, intellect, people that are really that are really, really brilliant, and that can provide solution to all of these problems. So, but anyway, at the end of the day, I think Nigeria definitely have the resources and the money to be able to make all the infrastructure to make them to be in place. Even though a lot of things has to do with politics in Nigeria, they play politics too much with things. But yeah, at the end of the day, I would say Nigeria currently not ready. So, but the infrastructure and the and whatever things that need to be in place, Nigeria definitely have the capacity and the money and finances to be able to make it happen. So, but it's then up to politicians, well, not just politicians, but I mean a lot of policies that need to be around. Definitely is depend on the politician, but in terms of Nigerians generally and everybody really also have a role to play to be able to make that happen. Whether you think a cashless society is a bad thing or a good thing, that's another thing. It's another thing entirely. But there are things that is bigger than myself and yourself watching me, that we don't really have control over. It's one of those things the world generally, people in charge of the world and making decisions for the whole world, things that affect everyday people. Those people, if they want to make something happen, they tend to make that happen anyway. So, but it's like a deep thing anyway, so which I just shouldn't be going too much into. I'm getting into a very dark place now, but I'm sure you can hear me. So down there is where the building is, where my son is having the swimming down that way. So, but I think something I forgot to mention as well is Naira. So which I think I've done some video about this before. In the world, generally central banks are now trying to digitalize their currencies, central bank digital currencies, which a lot of countries are already in the forefront. I think China, and I think a country in the South American already have their digital currency already. So this is not a cryptocurrency. I'm not talking about cryptocurrency or Bitcoin or anything like that, but I'm talking about generally central. So there's the Naira. Nigeria have Naira as well, so which has been launched. The Naira is it really popular? I'm not really sure whether it's popular. I don't think it's that popular, but maybe I'm wrong. Correct me in the comment box below if you know about it. But Naira, I don't think it's something. So with this, scarcity of cash in Nigeria, is this really going to then resurrect, or is it going to make Naira popular? Is it going to make the central bank to take it a bit more serious? Yeah, maybe that will make them to take it more serious. Yeah, whatever your thought is, please do leave it in the comment box below. And yeah, so I know this is different type of video to what I usually make, in terms of just sit down and just talk. But yeah, so I just thought let's just change things a little bit, walk around in the dark, and yeah, and make this video and share my thoughts on this. Thanks for watching, and God bless.